Welcome back to Table Talk and Tumbleweeds. We are just beginning to really get into our discussion of Lent as this video sort of kicks off the beginning of the Lenten journey this week.
So below you'll find a link to the schedule of events, including the in-person book club, which will be at the Wheatland Library, and worship both at Covenant Lutheran Church and Wheatland UCC. There's all sorts of schedules and links down below, and if you're not local or if you can't make it in person, you can still participate. You just have to comment below.
Yeah, and even if you are local,
Comments
right?
and subscriptions are always great.
You can still, and
Sure.
please subscribe. So for Lent, as we've sort of gone over already, we are thinking about themes from The Lord of the Rings and how they tie into the Lenten journey. This is sort of loosely based on, or at least inspired by, the Lenten Lord of the Rings, and we do have a link below if you want to look at it. And in the last set of videos, we did sort of a general overview, a background on the Lord of the Rings and why it's appropriate for Lent, and some background themes.
Yeah. So today we're going to get to it because Ash Wednesday is coming, and that's the beginning of Lent.
Right. Following Lenten Lord of the Rings, then, for Ash Wednesday, what we're going to do is we're going to leave Rivendell. So just a quick summary then of where we are. Sam and Frodo and Merry and Pippin have left the Shire and then headed to Rivendell and have escaped the Nazgul with the aid of Strider and Aragon. There's a big council with people from around Middle-earth in which they basically are talking about everything that's going on in all these places, and as they put it all together, they realize that Sauron is awake, Sauron knows the ring exists, and the Eye of Sauron is looking, seeking the ring passionately. And they decide that the only possible thing they can do, because the ring, the ring will corrupt. Even the most uncorruptible person will eventually be corrupted by the ring, because that's what it does. It serves one master, and that is Sauron. And so they decide the only possible thing they can do is destroy the ring. And so they decide that they need to take the ring to Mount Doom. And we are at the beginning of that journey. We're setting out from Rivendell as representatives of the free people of Middle-earth, the elves, the dwarves, the men, and hobbits. Ents as well, but we don't see them for until next week.
The Ents will choose to be involved, but they're not involved yet.
Yes, the Ents are still making up their mind. So before we start in, I think maybe we just want to say a couple of things about Ash Wednesday and Lent.
So Lent is a season within the Christian church where we put ourselves into a contemplative place and consider where are we in our lives and where do we want to be. And this is a season that is intended to mimic 40 days in the wilderness, alongside of Jesus, who spends 40 days in the wilderness being tempted, but also we mimic 40 years in the wilderness wandering after Egyptian slavery and the Exodus. We also mimic 40 days with Noah in the flood story, where the intention is, whatever that means, to wash away all of the evil and have the one thing that remains that is that good, precious, pure thing. Right. So this is in some ways about sort of cleaning up before Easter.
Yes, it's a period of reflection and internal dialogue. Reflection, right? It's a period of reflection to think about what God has done for us, but also to think about who you are and what you do and how you are in the world.
And in the ancient church, the tradition was that this is a thing you do for 40 days. You fast, you pray, you give alms, you do all of these disciplines of Lent, we call them, in the order to prepare for baptism at the Easter Vigil.
Yes.
And then becoming part of the fellowship that is the church
Right.
in an official way at the end of Lent.
So as we talked a little bit about last week, or in the last set of videos, the point of Lent is a season of preparation. It's a journey. It's a spiritual journey. So that is why I think in many ways making the decision to depart from Rivendell to engage on this spiritual journey
On Ash Wednesday.
makes Ash Wednesday is a perfect place to start.
And that's because Ash Wednesday is a day specifically where we gather together and you use ashes on the forehead. Right. As a sign of
embarking.
Death.
And also embarking.
And embarking. This is setting out on this journey surrounded by the ashes of what's gone before.
Yes. So we have this connection between setting out from Rivendell and setting out on this Lenten journey.
Because there's a self-emptying that goes on, and that's what our people are going to have to do. To
Yes.
give up their own selfish desires.
Yes. So we all have a ring, and we all have to make a journey to Mount Doom, and to set that ring into into the fire. So we have to get rid of the ring, and we don't want to. And that's obviously going to be a theme as we come up. But in the readings this week, I think you and I have identified a couple of other themes. So what are some of the main scenes that we want to look at?
I think the first one we decided was Gandalf and Frodo still in the Shire, talking about the history of the ring.
Right.
Where did this come from? Where it's revealed in the flames.
Yes.
This is the one
This
ring
is the
that
one ring.
Sauron created to control everything else, because control is what he wants.
Yes.
And
yes.
so he's created
All the
this
other rings.
to control the other rings, but through it, all the other free peoples of Middle Earth. Because he gives rings to the elves, he gives rings to the dwarves, he gives rings to the human beings, and through those, this one ring controls them.
And Frodo's like, how did it get here? And so he tells the story of, the great previous battle with Sauron.
Yeah.
His ring finger is cut off, and the ring falls. It's picked up by Isildur, who then, Elrond says, throw it into the flames, and Isildur goes, I don't know. I think this could be useful one day. So he won't throw it away. But then the ring has a mind of its own. The ring has a will of its own.
And it betrays him.
It betrays him, and it becomes lost, and it's found by this guy Smeagol, who later becomes Gollum, and this improbably Bilbo, Frodo.
Bilbo.
Yeah. Bilbo finds it, and Frodo gets it. And there's this line that he has, and I have this line where Gandalf says, right, there was more than one power at work, Frodo. The ring was trying to get back to its master, Sauron. It abandoned Gollum, only to be picked up by the most unlikely person imaginable, Bilbo from the Shire. There was something else at work beyond any design of the ringmaker, that is Sauron. I can put it no plainer than by saying that Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that might be an encouraging thought. So obviously what Gandalf is talking about there is this, for want of a better word, this idea of fate. The ring had a plan. Someone else had a different plan, and so intervened with the will of Sauron and the will of the ring. And here comes bumbling Bilbo, right? Who picks up the ring and then hangs on to it for years and years and years.
What a strange thing.
What a strange thing, and is able to use the ring a couple times, and then sort of lets it go.
Yeah, what the ring is intended to do is give its wearer its great desire, which for Sauron's power, and for Bilbo it's to not be noticed, which is why he goes invisible when he uses it.
But that's the power of the ring. Anyway,
it is also a power of the ring,
yeah.
But at least for Bilbo, that's hugely what he wants. It's also what Gollum wants.
Yes.
Is to be invisible so he can get away with whatever he wants. It talks about in the book how Bilbo, people would see him and then they'd walk down the path, and if he didn't want to talk to him, he'd just not be there.
That's like, I could have sworn I saw Bilbo.
which is a problem, because it means that he uses this thing indiscriminately.
Yes.
And so it works its power on him.
Slowly, very slowly. And
Very
we can
slowly.
talk more about that when we talk about the ring.
Yeah.
But there's this, you can feel in this scene this kind of growing horror. Actually, it's a couple of scenes as Gandalf is revealing to Bilbo what this ring is, and it's not just this ring has power, that it has a mind of its own, that it belongs to Sauron, but Sauron wants that ring. It's his greatest desire.
Yes.
Right? Sauron wants the ring, and he's looking for it, and he's relentless, and he will not give up till he finds it. And of course, now we also know, we don't know yet that they're called that, but that he is sending his minions, and among those minions are the Nazgul, which are the men who were given over to the power of the rings of power for the men.
The 9 rings that were given to the men turned them into these things.
Turn them into these things who are, part of the shadow world, and they serve Sauron. They are not.
Absolutely.
They are not free peoples, right? So you have this growing horror, right? But when Gandalf gets to the point of the story where yeah, so Bilbo's taken the ring, he's come to the Shire, now it's being searched for, and here's I won't do the whole quote, but it's a long one. "Oh, this is terrible," cried Frodo, "far worse than I imagined from your hints and warnings. Oh, Gandalf, what am I to do? For now I am really afraid. What am I to do? What a pity that Bilbo did not stab that vile creature when he had a chance." And
and the vile creature is Gollum.
the vile creature is Gollum, because what's happened is Gollum is taken by Sauron and tortured.
And that's how he knows.
What has just happened is Gandalf has said, not only is he looking for it, he knows you've got it.
He's looking for Baggins.
He's looking for Baggins.
Yeah.
So this is the moment in which Frodo says, "I wish Bilbo had killed him when he had the chance."
Yeah.
And I think that Gandalf's reply here, what a pity he didn't kill him when he had the chance. pity. It was pity that stayed his hand, pity and mercy, not to strike without need. And he has been well rewarded, Frodo. Be sure that he took so little hurt from evil and escaped in the end, because he began his ownership of the ring so with pity.
Yeah.
Right? So the ring, so part of it is this kind of reveals the kind of person that Bilbo is. Right? That, Bilbo's got his faults. But he's also...
Which increases as he has the ring.
Which increases as he has the ring, because the ring works as evil on it. But the ring wasn't taken with a moment of violence.
Part of the point of this is that when Smeagol, who becomes Gollum, gets the ring, it is in violence.
Yes.
Because his friend Deagle finds it and Smeagol strangles him and takes it. And similarly, before that, when the ring falls into the river, it is because of violence.
Yes.
Because Isildur is slain by orc arrows. And when Isildur gets it from Sauron, it's through violence. Chops his hand off.
So you have this history of violence with the ring.
And so Bilbo gets it because he finds it.
Yes.
And when Frodo gets it, it is given to him.
Yes. So you have this you can talk about almost breaking the cycle of violence that happens. And I think this is what, obviously this is what Gandalf is referring to, the fact that, he didn't take it by violence. And maybe that's why the ring has taken so long and its power has been so short.
And even, again, the most evil thing that Bilbo does with it is run away from his party and make everybody baffled.
Oh, the most evil thing he does is he hides from the Saxville Bagginses. I have to say, if I had a ring that if I saw someone coming I didn't want to talk to, I'd be so corrupt.
It would be on your finger in a minute, wouldn't it?
It'd be on my finger all the time. I'm sorry.
Especially because he doesn't know that it's evil. He just knows it's useful.
It's useful. I'm sorry, said Frodo. I am frightened. I do not feel any pity for Gollum. He deserves death. And this is the part that you brought up a number of times. I dare say he does. Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserves life. Can you give it to them? Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment, for even very wise cannot see all ends. I have not much hope that Gollum can be cured before he dies, but there is a chance of it. You have this whole idea that everyone is capable of redemption, right? And one could argue, possibly, maybe that's going to happen for Gollum. I don't think so. I think he's too far gone. But the hope is still there, and that's why it's not a good thing that he was killed. And more up to it, he is bound up with the fate of the ring. Yes. My heart tells me he has some part to play yet, for good or ill, before the end. And when that comes, the pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of many. I don't really like the fact that he used the word pity in here.
No.
I think mercy would have been a better word, because pity has become kind of a contemptuous word. Yeah. And I think actually the word I would use, and because we did read Micah yesterday, the word that I would use is kindness.
Yes.
This was Bilbo being kind.
Yes.
And I'm not. This is someone who is worthy of my sympathy, who's worthy of my pity. And yes, I pity him, and out of pity I am kind. So pity is not the end here. There's a kindness.
Yes.
And I think that what moves me in this moment is this idea of kindness, which we are so contemptuous of, and in fact,
even Frodo's not happy about
Bilbo. Even Frodo is like, he should have killed him. And Gandalf says, no, he chose kindness instead. And I think often we're very contemptuous of kindness, being kind in this world just means being taken advantage of. And in the short term, it looks like that. Gollum makes all sorts of mischief. He does all sorts of evil in this, but you can also see the struggle in Gollum. He doesn't want to be what he's become. He's trapped in what he's become. And with this idea of mercy and kindness towards Gollum is going to show up again and again. And of course, not a spoiler, of course, that's going to have a big impact on how this story ends.
There is a point, and this is way ahead, and it's in the films rather than the book so much, but and it's way ahead, and Frodo and Sam and Gollum, Smeagol are making their way through the wilderness together. And there's a point where, and again, this is in the films, not necessarily in the books, where Frodo looks at him and calls him Smeagol, his real name, not Gollum, which is the noise that he makes, Gollum, Gollum, Gollum. And in that moment, you can see that Smeagol is there. He's been called by name, and he is who he's supposed to be. And we're going to keep bringing this up because Lent is this baptismal moment.
Yes.
He's called by name, and all of a sudden he wants to be good. He wants to be who he's supposed to be. And then other things happen. But for that moment, there's a brief bit of redemption in Smeagol's eyes.
Yes.
So I think that the possibility of that redemption exists no matter what has happened to him, no matter how many years he has lived under the mountain strangling things to eat. There's a moment where Gollum can be rehabilitated.
And I think that's probably a good place to stop for this video and the next video. And you can just keep on if you're watching in the
Playlist.
in the playlist, thank you. Nouns are the first thing to go. If you're watching in the playlist, it will roll right up. And I think the next scene that we're going to talk about is the scene that really relates to fellowship, which is the conspiracy unmasked, and then talking a little bit about that in terms of also then how they meet Aragorn / Strider.
Yes.
Okay. And don't forget, subscribe.